So I'm not going to be a firecracker for Halloween. Good morning, everybody. Have a wonderful show for you today. We're going to talk about fireworks and pretending to be a firework. You get these stories and it's like you don't believe somebody will do it, but then somebody did it because it's a story. So today we're going to go to Florida, Cape Coral. And there's a little article about this fellow. So I'll just put it up here. And it says that Firecracker, Cape Coral man wakes neighbors by screaming and pretending to be a firework. And so there's a video here. I'm going to put a link to the description, or I'm going to put a link in the description below. And you can see where this fellow just starts screaming in the middle of the night around 3 in the morning. And so, the article says that he seemed to be upset that people were celebrating early, and apparently, let's see, where is it? Let's see. Apparently, you're allowed to shoot fireworks only on 3 days of the year. And 4th of July is one of them. It doesn't say what the other ones are. So it's possible that this fellow got angry about someone else shooting off firecrackers early. Who knows? But there's one quote in the article that I really enjoyed and I wanted to go over. It says, this is from the police department. It says, pretending to be a firework is also going to run afoul of our noise ordinance. So I think that's fascinating. So here we have someone, maybe responding to something else. We have no idea, what's going on. But, we know that it's just not a good idea to scream at 3 a.m. in the morning. And I feel bad because we live in a society where people work second and third shift. Okay? So you kind of want to be quiet outside anytime, and it's just not possible during the day. You'll get somebody ring the doorbell or something like that. So I had some thoughts, wanted to go over them with you. When is it ever okay to scream at 3 in the morning and wake up your neighbors? And that's just not neighborly. And so there's this trend now that's developing for me, and that's like, is something neighborly? And most of the time we read stories where it's just somebody's not being neighborly. So if you're shooting off fireworks and it's not during the time of year you're supposed to be, then you're probably not being neighborly. And if this is what happens when somebody doesn't like it, and then they're also not being neighborly when they are screaming at 3 a.m. in the morning. And so, do two wrongs make a right? I don't know. Whatever. And then if there wasn't security camera footage, would you believe someone actually did this? So would you believe that somebody would do this? It's weird. I don't know that I would think of somebody screaming that they're a firecracker, but I definitely think that if you've irritated your neighbors, they're going to try and get revenge at some point in time. And this might be the time if you've, woke them up for stuff. So then I was wondering, what is the thought process for something like this? It's 3 in the morning. I'm having trouble sleeping. I'll just scream in this person's yard about fireworks. It's the 4th of July after all. Is that how that goes? Or how, what is it? Is there any thought that goes into this stuff? Sometimes maybe that's where I make my mistake, is that there's really no thought that goes into it. They just do it and then they think about it. when I saw the article, or when I saw the article and the quote from the police officer that said that pretending to be a firework, screaming and disturbing the peace is against the law, it's like, it seems like what isn't against the law anymore? But probably shouldn't be screaming at your neighbors at any point in time. It's fascinating, the context, though. So apparently no one's found who did this, okay, even though he's on camera. And we read stories. We've had a few stories before where, like, there's a racism incident, or there's some people throwing their dead animals on somebody else's yard, and those people get charged. But this fellow's probably not going to get charged because they can't find him, I guess. And then it's kind of like selective prosecution. We saw that story in New York where the neighbor was, making threatening gestures about killing the person, and that wasn't the charge that they got as far as disturbing the peace. So it's kind of interesting how that works. I'm not a lawyer, so I have no idea. And then another thought I had was, is this a response to someone who was shooting fireworks early? And then how could that have been better handled? Should you put an anonymous letter in their mailbox? Throw a dead animal on their yard? We've seen that before, and it didn't seem to work either. How does the conversation go? If you tell your neighbor that their fireworks are keeping you awake and you need to be at work early in the morning, is that going to stop people from shooting fireworks? Probably not. And so, I feel for people during fireworks season. We have a dog that's terrified of fireworks, and even though fireworks are illegal in the county, and I don't think it's enforced too heavily, it's just one of those things you deal with when you live in a neighborhood, and that's kind of the other thing that I'm running into is when we live in these like I live in a subdivision, when we live in these close quarters, what are the things that we should just accept? So clearly I'm accepting by living here that fireworks are going to go off, for the week before and the week after 4th of July. We saw that article with the HOA banning the beehives. So should I have expected when I move in a neighborhood to live in a neighborhood where there's bees flying around at me? What should I expect out of my neighbor? Should I expect a friendly relationship with my neighbor, or should I expect my neighbor to, throw dead animals on my porch? These are the things, this is kind of, to me, the gray area of, the joys of living in a neighborhood. And what is the point? Is what we believe is ideally what we believe to be about a neighborhood, is that kind of false? I don't have any idea. This is just what I had for you today. It's not a wild animal story. I'm sorry. But if this is the kind of content that you'd be interested in, please go ahead and click the subscribe button. Check out our channel, Deerwood Realty STL, on YouTube. You can subscribe to the podcast on things like Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Deezer. I think Google Podcasts has their thing. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed it, and I will catch you on the next one.